The space around Earth was quiet. Stars shone like tiny diamonds against the black sky. Far out, near the edge of the solar system, something changed. The darkness began to ripple. Jake Morrison sat in his chair at the Deep Space Monitoring Station. He was drinking his third cup of coffee when the screens in front of him started flashing red. Numbers rolled across the display faster than he could read them. Energy readings spiked higher than anything he had ever seen. "What the hell?" Jake muttered. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. The readings were still there. Something big was coming out of hyperspace. Jake grabbed his radio and called his supervisor. "Control, this is Morrison. We have massive energy signatures appearing at grid 77 Alpha. Something's coming through." The voice on the radio crackled back. "Morrison, run the diagnostic again. Those readings are impossible." "Already?" "Ran it twice, sir. This is real. We have unknown contacts emerging from hyperspace. Lots of them." Jake's hands moved quickly over his keyboard. The computer was trying to count the new objects, but the numbers kept changing. First 50, then 200, then more, much more. On his main screen, Jake watched as ship after ship appeared in the dark space. They were huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. Their hulls were dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Strange symbols glowed along their sides in colors that hurt to look at. The lead ship was massive. It was easily 10 times larger than Earth's biggest space station. Smaller ships formed around it like a deadly cloud. Jake counted over 500 vessels before he stopped trying. "Jesus Christ," he whispered. "Control, you need to see this. We have a full invasion fleet." Within minutes, Jake's small station was buzzing with activity. Admiral Susan Blake arrived by emergency transport, her uniform still wrinkled from sleep. She was followed by Dr. Lisa Grant, who carried a tablet filled with data about alien technology. "Show me what we're dealing with," Admiral Blake said. Jake pointed to the main screen. "They appeared 30 minutes ago. My computer says there are over 500 ships. A big one in the center is their command ship." Dr. Grant studied the images. She had spent years studying theoretical alien technology, but seeing it in person was different. Their energy signatures match plasma-based weapons, standard deflector shields. "This is exactly what we expected." "Expected?" Jake asked. Admiral. Blake looked at him. "Son, we've been preparing for this day for a long time. Alert NORAD and the Global Defense Council. Tell them Code Red Alpha is now active." Jake sent the message that would change everything. Across Earth, secret facilities began powering up. Men and women in hidden bunkers started their final preparations. The day humanity had trained for was finally here. On the alien command ship, Admiral Krickstahl stood on his bridge. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. His uniform was covered in medals from 100 conquered worlds. To him, this was just another routine invasion. "Status report," he commanded. His second officer, a younger alien with similar features, checked his instruments. "All ships in position, Admiral. The target world shows primitive technology, basic satellites, and simple space stations. They have no deep space defense network." Admiral Krickstahl nodded. "As expected, their scouts reported this world was barely past chemical rockets. This will be over quickly." The bridge crew worked efficiently. They had done this many times before. The pattern was always the same. Show overwhelming force, demand surrender, then occupy the planet. Most worlds gave up without a fight. "Begin standard approach," Admiral Krickstahl ordered. "Move the fleet to attack formation. Prepare the surrender demand." Back on Earth, Jake watched the alien ships begin to move. They formed a wide arc around the planet, positioning themselves for orbital bombardment. It looked like a textbook. Invasion formation. They're taking position, Jake reported. Looks like they're getting ready to attack. Admiral Blake smiled slightly. Good. Let them get comfortable. Dr. Grant, are you reading their communication frequencies? Dr. Grant nodded, her fingers flying over her tablet. Their signals are basic quantum entanglement communication. Nothing we can't handle. I'm also detecting their shield frequencies and weapon signatures. Everything matches our projections. Jake was confused. Ma'am, shouldn't we be scared? There are 500 alien warships out there. Morrison, Admiral Blake said. What do you know? About human military technology? Just what I see on the news, I guess. Rockets, jets, nuclear weapons. That's what we want everyone to think. The truth is very different. We've been ready for this day for decades. On her tablet, Dr. Grant showed Jake images of weapons he had never seen. Quantum disruptor cannons that could tear apart atoms. Antimatter warheads small enough to hide in satellites. Gravitational weapons that could crush steel like paper. The aliens developed predictable technology, Dr. Grant explained. Plasma weapons, energy shields, faster than light travel. We went a different direction. We focused on quantum physics and exotic matter. Jake stared at the images. You mean we're more advanced than they are? In some ways, yes. They focused on big ships and lots of firepower. We focused on making better weapons that work in ways they won't expect. Admiral Blake looked back at the screen showing the alien fleet. They think they're about to conquer a primitive world. They have no idea what they're really facing. The alien ships continued their approach. On each vessel, crews prepared for what they thought would be an easy victory. Weapons charged. Up, shields activated. Marines got ready to land on the planet's surface. Admiral Krickstall stood confidently on his bridge. In a few hours, this world would be another trophy for the Empire. The humans would surrender, and his ships would return home with news of another successful conquest. But deep in space, hidden systems were already watching. On the moon, massive guns were turning toward the alien fleet. Around Earth, cloaked ships were powering up weapons that could destroy matter at the quantum level. The aliens thought they were the hunters. They had no idea they were about to become the prey. Jake Morrison looked at the screen one more time. The alien ships looked so powerful and frightening. But for the first time since they appeared, he wasn't afraid. Humanity had a surprise waiting for them. The real battle was about to begin. Admiral Krickstall stood in front of the massive communication array on his bridge. The message he was about to send had worked on hundreds of worlds. It was simple and direct. Surrender or die. Open a channel to the planet, he commanded. The communication. Officer, a thin alien with pale blue skin, worked at his console. Channel open, Admiral. Broadcasting on all frequencies. Krickstall cleared his throat and began the standard conquest message. Primitive beings of the third planet. I am Admiral Krickstall of the Zephyrian Imperial Fleet. Your world has been selected for incorporation into our empire. You have one rotation of your sun to surrender completely. If you resist, we will destroy your cities and take your world by force. This is your only warning. The message was transmitted across space in seconds. It reached Earth's communication satellites and was immediately picked up by every government on the planet. In the White House, President Helen Carter was awakened by her security chief. She had been expecting this call ever since the alien fleet appeared. She dressed quickly and walked to the Situation Room, where the most important people in the world were waiting. How long do we have? She asked as she sat down. General Ryan Cross, a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes, looked at his watch. 23 hours and 42 minutes, Madam President. They're using standard Imperial conquest protocols. President Carter looked. around the room. These people had been preparing for this moment their entire careers. Gentlemen and ladies, this is what we trained for. Are all systems ready? Yes, ma'am, General Cross replied. All defense platforms are online. The lunar facilities are at full power. Our cloaked ships are in position. Dr. Lisa Grant leaned forward. Madam President, I've analyzed their message. They're using basic quantum communication. Their ship. Formations are textbook invasion tactics. They have no idea what they're facing. Good, President Carter said. Let's keep it that way. How long before they realize we're not what they expected? If everything goes according to plan, they'll never know until it's too late, General Cross answered. On the moon, Captain Amy Foster was making final preparations. Her ship, which looked like a simple cargo vessel, was actually one of 12 cloaked dreadnoughts. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small planet. Status report, she said to her crew. Her weapons officer, Lieutenant Dan Miller, checked his instruments. Quantum disruptors at full charge. Antimatter torpedoes loaded. Gravitational wave generators ready. Excellent. Remember, we stay hidden until the Admiral gives the order. When we decloak, we need to move fast. In the hidden facility beneath Mount Rushmore, Dr. Matt Thompson was coordinating the Global Defense Network. His computers were connected to every weapon platform in the solar system. From his chair, he could control enough firepower to destroy the alien fleet 10 times over. Communication check, he said into his headset. All stations report. Voices came back from around the solar system. Moon Base Alpha ready. Mars Station ready. Asteroid Belt Mining Platform ready. Each location was actually a heavily armed military base disguised as something peaceful. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Parker was on the real Mars station, which the aliens thought was just a research facility. In reality, it housed the most powerful railguns humans had ever built. They could fire projectiles at 30% of light speed. Targeting solutions calculated, he reported. We have firing solutions on all alien ships. Waiting for your order. Back on Earth, Admiral Susan Blake was in the main command center. She could see everything from her position. The alien fleet was moving slowly toward Earth, confident and relaxed. They had no idea that hundreds of weapons were already aimed at them. Status report from all stations, she ordered. Lunar railguns ready, came the first response. Cloaked. Fleet ready. Antimatter satellites ready. Quantum disruptor network ready. Admiral Blake smiled. Maintain positions. Let them come closer. On the alien command ship, Admiral Crickstall was growing impatient. The humans hadn't responded to his message. This was unusual. Most worlds sent some kind of reply, even if it was just begging for mercy. Any response from the planet? He asked. No, Admiral. Complete radio silence. Crickstall thought about this. Perhaps they're too primitive to understand the message. Or maybe they're so scared they can't respond. His tactical officer, a large alien with red skin and 4 arms, studied the display. The planet shows no military buildup, no ships launching, no weapons platforms activating. They appear to be completely helpless. Good, Crickstall said. Begin the approach. Standard formation. We'll show them our power before we give them a chance to surrender again. The alien fleet began moving toward Earth. 500 ships formed. A perfect attack formation. They moved slowly, wanting the humans to see their overwhelming power dot in the command center. President Carter watched the aliens approach. How much closer do we let them get? Wait until they're past the asteroid belt, Admiral Blake replied. Once they're in the gravity well, they can't escape quickly. Dr. Grant was watching her instruments carefully. Their shields are at minimal power. They're not expecting any resistance. This is perfect. On the moon, Captain Foster was getting excited. Her crew had trained for this moment for years. They had practiced the attack pattern hundreds of times. All ships, this is Foster. Stay calm. Wait for the signal. The 12 cloaked ships were spread around Earth's orbit. Each one was invisible to the alien sensors. The enemy had no idea they were there. Dr. Thompson was monitoring the quantum communication network. Every human weapon in the solar system was connected. When the attack began, they would all fire at exactly the same moment. Network synchronization complete, he reported. All weapons will fire within 1 millisecond of each other. Lieutenant. Colonel Parker was making final adjustments to his railguns. The projectiles were made of tungsten and titanium, materials that could punch through almost anything. At the speed they would be traveling, they would hit like nuclear bombs. Railguns charged and ready, he reported. We have clear firing solutions on the enemy command ship. Admiral Blake was watching the tactical display. The alien ships were getting closer. Soon they would be in the perfect position. All stations prepare for Operation Hammerfall. Final weapons check. Reports came back from around the solar system. Every weapon was ready. Every system was working perfectly. The aliens were walking into the most deadly trap in human history. The alien command ship, Admiral Krickstall, was feeling confident. The human world was getting larger on his screen. Soon his ships would be in orbit, and the real conquest would begin. Prepare for orbital bombardment, he ordered. Target their major cities. We'll give them one more chance to surrender before we destroy them. His weapons officer began charging the plasma cannons. The alien ships prepared to attack what they thought was a defenseless world. But hidden in the darkness of space, humanity was ready. The trap was set. The aliens were almost in position. In a few more minutes, they would learn that Earth was not as helpless as they thought. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea they were already defeated. Admiral Krickstall looked at the blue planet growing larger on his screen. It was beautiful, with white clouds and brown continents. He had conquered many worlds, but this one looked especially peaceful. That would make the victory even sweeter. Distance. To target? He asked. Entering the outer gravity well now, Admiral. Will be an optimal bombardment position in 2 hours. Krickstall nodded with satisfaction. The humans still hadn't responded to his message. They were probably too scared to think clearly. Or maybe they were hoping the aliens would just go away. Spread the fleet in standard invasion formation, he ordered. I want every ship in position for orbital bombardment. Show these primitives the power of the Empire. The 500 alien ships moved into a wide arc around Earth. Each captain knew his job. They had done this many times before. The smaller ships would target military installations. The larger ships would destroy cities. The command ship would coordinate everything. In the command center beneath Washington, Admiral Blake was watching every move. The aliens were positioning themselves exactly where she wanted them. They were following their standard tactics perfectly. They're taking the bait, she said quietly. All ships maintain radio silence. Let them think we're helpless. President Carter was standing next to her, watching the tactical display. How long until they're in position? 1 hour and 57 minutes, Admiral Blake replied. They're moving slowly because they think there's no threat. That's perfect for us. Dr. Grant was analyzing the alien formations. They're using the same attack pattern from the Rigel system. Same formations, same ship spacing. They never change their tactics. That's their weakness, Admiral Blake said. They've been so successful that they've become predictable. We know exactly what they're going to do. On the moon, Captain Foster was watching the alien fleet through her ship's sensors. Her vessel was completely invisible to their scanners. The cloaking technology was based on quantum field manipulation, something the aliens had never developed. "They're coming right at us," she said to her crew. "Look at them. They think they're so powerful." Her weapons officer, Lieutenant Dan Miller, was excited. "Captain, our quantum disruptors are fully charged. We can take out 50 ships with our first volley." "Patience, Dan. We wait for the signal. When we attack, we need to hit them all at once. No survivors." The cloaked ships were spread throughout Earth's orbital space. Each one was a masterpiece of human engineering. They combined the best of human technology with weapons that could manipulate matter at the quantum level. Deep in space, the asteroid belt mining platforms were preparing for battle. To the aliens, they looked like simple mining equipment. In reality, they were massive weapons platforms with enough firepower to destroy a planet. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Parker was making final adjustments to his railguns on Mars. The projectiles were loaded and ready. Each one was a solid tungsten rod that would hit the alien ships at impossible speeds. "Targeting computer locked on the command ship," he reported. "First shot will take out their admiral. Second shot will destroy their communications." Dr. Thompson was coordinating everything from his hidden facility. His quantum communication network allowed all human forces to work together perfectly. When the attack began, every weapon would fire at exactly the same moment. "Final synchronization check," he announced. "All stations report readiness." The responses came back immediately. "Moon base ready. Mars station ready. Cloaked fleet ready. Antimatter satellites ready." Every human weapon in the solar system was prepared for battle. Admiral Blake was watching the countdown timer. 1 hour and 30 minutes until optimal firing position. "All stations, prepare for final attack sequence." On the alien command ship, Admiral Krickstow was feeling very confident. His ships were in perfect position. The human world was completely quiet. There were no military ships launching. No weapons platforms activating, nothing at all. "They're not even trying to defend themselves," he said to his tactical officer. "This is going to be the easiest conquest in Imperial history." His communications officer looked confused. "Admiral, I'm still not detecting any military transmissions from the planet. No emergency broadcasts. No evacuation orders. Nothing." "They're probably too primitive to coordinate a defense," Krickstow replied. "Or maybe they're so scared they can't function. Either way, this makes our job easier." The alien weapons officer was charging the plasma cannons. "All ships report ready for orbital bombardment. We can begin firing on your command." "Excellent. In 1 hour, we'll give them one final chance to surrender. If they don't respond, we'll destroy their major cities. Then we'll land troops and take control." What Admiral Krickstow didn't know was that his every word was being monitored. Human listening posts were recording every alien communication. Dr. Grant was translating their language in real time. "They're planning to start bombardment in 1 hour," she reported. "They still think we're helpless." "Perfect," Admiral Blake said. "Let them get comfortable. The closer they are, the more devastating our attack will be." President Carter was amazed by the preparation. "How long have we been planning this?" "Since the 1950s, General Cross replied. "We've been developing advanced weapons and hiding them from the world. Everyone thinks our military uses conventional technology. They have no idea what we're really capable of." "On the moon, Captain." Foster was conducting final weapons checks. Her ship's quantum disruptors could literally erase matter from existence. The antimatter torpedoes could destroy entire city blocks. The gravitational wave generators could crush steel like paper. "All weapon systems green," Lieutenant Miller reported. "We're ready to show these aliens what human engineering can do." The 12 cloaked ships were positioned perfectly. Each one was aimed at a different section of the alien fleet. When they attacked, they would hit from all directions at once. Dr. Thompson was watching his countdown timer. 30 minutes to optimal firing position. All stations begin final preparations. Lieutenant Colonel Parker was loading the final tungsten projectiles into his railguns. Each one was perfectly machined and designed to penetrate alien shields. At the speed they would be traveling, nothing could stop them. Mars Station ready for railgun bombardment, he reported. We'll punch holes right through their command ship. Admiral Blake was studying the tactical display one final time. The alien ships were spread out perfectly. They were confident and relaxed. They had no idea that hundreds of weapons were aimed at them. All stations, this is Admiral Blake. In 25 minutes, we will show these invaders what happens when you threaten Earth. Remember your training. Remember your duty. Today, humanity takes its place among the stars. The alien fleet continued its slow approach to Earth. Admiral Krickstow was already planning his victory speech. His ship captains were discussing how to divide the spoils of Voyage. Conquest. None of them noticed the small energy signatures that were beginning to appear on their sensors. Admiral, the sensor officer said, I'm detecting some unusual readings near the planet. What kind of readings? I'm not sure. They're very faint. Probably just solar interference. Krickstow wasn't worried. Ignore it. Focus on the bombardment targets. But those faint readings were human weapons powering up. The trap was almost ready. In just a few more minutes, the aliens would learn that Earth was not the helpless world they expected. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and it would be over before the aliens knew what hit them. Admiral Krickstow stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. His fleet was now deep in the planet's gravity well. Perfect position for orbital bombardment. He had conquered 47 worlds using this exact same formation. All ships in position, Admiral, his tactical officer reported. Ready for final bombardment on your command. Excellent. Open a channel to the planet. Give them one last chance to surrender. The communications officer nodded. Channel open, Admiral. Krickstow stepped forward and spoke into the transmitter. Humans of Earth, this is your final warning. You have ignored our previous message. Surrender now, or we will destroy your cities. One by one. You have 10 minutes to respond. In the command center, Admiral Blake heard the message. She looked at President Carter and smiled. 10 minutes. That's perfect timing. All stations, this is Admiral Blake. The enemy is now in optimal position. Begin final attack sequence. Operation Hammer Fall is now active. Around the solar system, humans began their final preparations. On the moon, Captain Foster was watching. Her tactical display. The alien ships were spread out in a perfect arc. They couldn't have positioned themselves better for her attack. All weapons charged and ready, Lieutenant Miller reported. Quantum disruptors at full power. Antimatter torpedoes loaded. Gravitational wave generators online. Remember, Captain, Foster said to her crew, we decloak and fire in one synchronized attack. No warnings, no mercy. These aliens came here to destroy our home. The 12 cloaked ships were positioned throughout Earth's orbit. Each one was a masterpiece of human engineering. They had been waiting in complete silence. Invisible to the alien sensors, Dr. Thompson was coordinating the final attack from his hidden facility. His quantum communication network connected every human weapon in the solar system. When he gave the signal, they would all fire at exactly the same moment. All stations, final weapons check. Report status. The responses came back immediately. Moon Base Alpha. All railguns ready. Mars Station. Railguns charged. Asteroid Mining Platform 7. Antimatter charges armed. Cloaked Fleet. All ships ready for attack. Lieutenant Colonel Parker was making final adjustments to his targeting. Computer on Mars. The tungsten projectiles were loaded and ready. Each one would hit the alien ships at 30% of light speed. Targeting solution locked on the command ship, he reported. First shot will penetrate their bridge. Second shot will destroy their engines. Admiral Blake was watching the countdown timer. 5 minutes to attack. All stations, prepare for synchronized assault. On the alien command ship, Admiral Crickstow was growing impatient. The humans still hadn't responded to his final warning. This was unusual. Most worlds either surrendered immediately or at least tried to negotiate. No response from the planet? He asked. Nothing, Admiral. Complete radio silence. Crickstow thought about this. Perhaps they're too primitive to understand. Or maybe they're preparing to surrender and don't know how to respond. His weapons officer was standing ready. All ships report plasma cannons charged and ready. We can begin bombardment on your command. Good. In 3 minutes, we'll start with their largest city. That should get their attention. What Admiral Crickstow didn't know was that his ship was already in the crosshairs of dozens of human weapons. The tungsten projectiles from Mars were aimed at his bridge. The quantum disruptors from the cloaked ships were locked onto his engines. The antimatter satellites were positioned to destroy his entire vessel dot in the command center. Admiral Blake was watching the final seconds tick down. 2 minutes to attack. All stations, arm all weapons. This is for Earth. Dr. Grant was monitoring the alien communications. They're about to start bombing our cities. We need to attack now. Agreed, Admiral Blake said. All stations, begin final countdown. Attack in 60 seconds. On the moon, Captain Foster was gripping her command chair. Her crew was ready. The alien ships had no idea what was about to happen to them. 30 seconds to attack, she announced. Remember, we decloak and fire simultaneously. No alien ship survives this battle. Dr. Thompson was watching his master control panel. Every human weapon in the solar system was connected to his system. When he pressed the button, it would be the most coordinated attack in human history. 15 seconds to attack. All stations, final confirmation. Moon base ready. Mars station ready. Cloaked fleet ready. Antimatter satellites ready. Admiral Blake was watching the tactical display. The alien ships were perfectly positioned. They were confident and relaxed. They had no idea they were about to be destroyed. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack. Dr. Thompson pressed the button that would change human history forever. In that instant, everything happened at once. The 12 cloaked ships around Earth suddenly appeared as their cloaking fields dropped. Their quantum disruptors fired beams of pure energy that could tear apart matter at the atomic level. Captain Foster's ship fired first. Her quantum disruptors hit 3 alien vessels simultaneously. The enemy ships didn't just explode, they simply ceased to exist. One moment they were there, the next moment there was nothing but empty space. Direct hit, Lieutenant Miller shouted. 3 ships completely destroyed. All 12 cloaked ships were firing at once. The quantum disruptors were creating holes in reality itself. Alien ships were being erased from existence faster than their crews could understand what was happening. From Mars, Lieutenant Colonel Parker fired his railguns. The tungsten projectiles crossed the distance to Earth in seconds. They hit the alien command ship with the force of nuclear weapons. Direct hit on the command ship, he reported, penetrating their bridge. On the alien command ship, Admiral Crickstow was thrown to the floor as his vessel shook violently. Sparks flew from control panels. The lights went out. Emergency alarms started screaming. What's happening? He shouted. His tactical officer was staring at his instruments in shock. Admiral, we're under attack. Unknown weapons are destroying the fleet. Impossible. These humans have no advanced technology. But even as he spoke, Krikstal could see alien ships disappearing from his tactical display. Not just destroyed, completely gone. It was as if they had never existed. The antimatter satellites around Earth are firing their warheads. Each explosion created a small sun that vaporized everything within miles. Dozens of alien ships were caught in the blasts. From the asteroid belt, the disguised mining platforms were firing their own weapons. Gravitational wave generators were creating artificial gravity wells that crushed alien ships like tin cans. The lunar rail guns were firing continuously. Tungsten projectiles were punching through alien shields as if they were made of paper. The enemy ships had no defense against weapons that moved at such incredible speeds. In less than 1 minute, over 200 alien ships had been destroyed. The survivors were trying to retreat, but they were trapped in Earth's gravity well. They couldn't escape fast enough. Admiral Blake was watching the tactical display with satisfaction. Continue firing. Don't let any of them escape. Captain Foster's ship was moving through the alien formation like a shark through fish. Her quantum disruptors were erasing ship after ship. Her antimatter torpedoes were creating explosions that could be seen from Earth. 17 ships destroyed and counting. Lieutenant Miller reported. These aliens have no idea what they're fighting. The alien fleet was falling apart. Ships were exploding all around them. Their weapons couldn't even target the human vessels. The cloaked ships were moving too fast and using technology the aliens couldn't understand. Admiral Krikstal was realizing the truth. The humans weren't primitive at all. They were far more advanced than his empire. They had been hiding their true capabilities. All ships retreat. He screamed into his communicator. Emergency jump to hyperspace, but it was too late. The human attack was devastating and coordinated. In 4 minutes and 37 seconds, the entire Zephyrian Imperial fleet was destroyed. Only one ship remained, Admiral Krikstal's command vessel, and it was badly damaged. The battle was over. Earth had won. Admiral Krikstal stood on his damaged bridge, staring at the tactical display in complete shock. Where moments before there had been 500 proud warships of the Zephyrian Empire, now there was only empty space filled with debris and radiation. His ship was the only one left. The bridge was dark, except for emergency lighting. Sparks flew from broken control panels. The smell of burning circuits filled the air. Half his crew was dead or injured. Status report, he said weakly. His surviving tactical officer looked up. From his damaged console, Admiral, the entire fleet is gone. All ships destroyed. We have massive hull damage. Life support is failing. Weapons are offline. Krikstal couldn't believe it. In his long career, he had never seen such devastating firepower. The human weapons didn't just destroy ships, they made them disappear completely. He had never encountered technology like this. How long did the battle last? He asked. 4 minutes and 37 seconds, Admiral. 4 minutes. An entire Imperial fleet destroyed in 4 minutes. It was impossible, but the evidence was all around him. The humans had been hiding their true capabilities. They weren't primitive. At all. In the command center on Earth, Admiral Blake was watching the final moments of the battle. The alien debris was scattered across a huge area of space. Only one ship remained, the command vessel. All stations, cease fire, she ordered. Target the surviving ship, but do not destroy it. We need to send a message. President Carter was standing next to her, amazed by what she had just witnessed. In 4 minutes, we destroyed their entire fleet? Yes, Madam President. Our weapons worked exactly as planned. The aliens never had a chance. Dr. Grant was analyzing the battle data. Their technology is exactly what we expected. Plasma weapons, energy shields, conventional propulsion. They developed along predictable lines. We took a different path. Admiral. Blake nodded. While they were perfecting bigger ships and more firepower, we were developing quantum weapons and exotic matter manipulation. They can't defend against weapons that work at the atomic level. On the moon, Captain Foster was surveying the battlefield. Her ship had personally destroyed 17 alien vessels. The quantum disruptors had worked perfectly. The enemy ships had simply ceased to exist. Captain, Lieutenant Miller said, we're receiving new orders. We're to escort the surviving alien ship to the edge of the solar system. Understood. But first, let's make sure they know who won this battle. Captain Foster opened a communication channel to the alien command ship. Alien vessel, this is Captain Foster of the Earth Defense Force. You are defeated. Your fleet is destroyed. Prepare to receive a message from our leadership. In the White House Situation Room, President Carter was preparing for the most important speech of her life. This message would be sent to an alien empire. It would announce humanity's presence to the galaxy. Are you ready, Madam President? Admiral Blake asked. As ready as anyone can be for this, President Carter replied. Open the channel. The communication link was established. President Carter could see the alien admiral on her screen. He looked shocked and defeated. His uniform was torn and dirty. His ship was clearly damaged. I am President Carter of the United Earth Government, she began. You came to our world expecting to find a primitive civilization. You thought we would be easy to conquer. You were wrong. Admiral Krickstahl listened to the translation with growing understanding. These humans had been preparing for this moment. They had hidden their true capabilities and allowed his fleet to walk into a trap. Your empire made a mistake, President Carter continued. You attacked a world you didn't understand. We could have destroyed your entire fleet before you entered our solar system. What you witnessed was merely a demonstration of our defensive capabilities. General Cross stepped forward. Your weapons and technology are primitive compared to ours. While your empire focused on conventional warfare, we developed quantum manipulation, antimatter weapons, and gravitational control. You cannot defeat us, Dr. Grant added her own message. We have been watching your empire for decades. We know your tactics, your technology, your weaknesses. You are not as advanced as you think you are. Admiral Krickstahl found his voice. How is this possible? Our scouts reported that your world had only basic technology. Chemical rockets, simple satellites. President Carter smiled slightly. That's what we wanted you to think. We've been hiding our true capabilities for over 70 years. Every piece of primitive technology you observed was carefully designed to make you underestimate us. But why? Krickstahl asked. Why hide your power? Because we knew that someday someone like you would come, Admiral Blake replied. We prepared for this day. We built weapons that could destroy any enemy foolish enough to threaten our world. On his damaged bridge, Admiral Krickstahl was beginning to understand. The humans hadn't just defeated his fleet. They had completely outmaneuvered his entire empire. They had made the Zephyrians believe Earth weak and defenseless. What do you want from me? He asked. President Carter's expression became serious. You will return to your empire. You will tell them exactly what happened here. You will explain that Earth is under the protection of humanity, and we are far from primitive. You will tell them, General Cross added, that any future attacks on Earth or human colonies will be met with complete destruction. We have weapons positioned throughout this solar system. We can destroy any fleet, anytime. Admiral Krickstahl looked at his tactical display one more time. The debris from his once mighty fleet was still floating in space. 500 ships destroyed in less than 5 minutes. The humans weren't just advanced, they were terrifyingly efficient. I understand, he said quietly, but my ship is badly damaged. I'm not sure we can make it back to Imperial space. We'll help you with that, Admiral Blake said. Captain Miller, escort the alien ship to the edge of our solar system. Make sure they have enough power to reach their territory. Captain Dan Miller was commanding the stealth ship Silent Thunder. He had been watching the battle from a safe distance. Now he would have the honor of escorting the defeated enemy away from Earth. Understood, Admiral. Moving to escort position. Now, the Silent Thunder appeared next to the alien command ship. It was sleek and black, almost invisible against the stars. To Admiral Kriegstahl, it looked like a ship from a nightmare. Alien vessel, this is Captain Miller. We will escort you to the edge of our solar system. Follow our course exactly. Any deviation will be considered an act of war. As the two ships began their journey toward the outer planets, Admiral Kriegstahl sent a message to his surviving crew. Prepare a full report of everything that happened here. The Empire must know the truth about these humans. His communications. Officer was working at a damaged console. Admiral, I'm detecting other alien fleets throughout the galaxy. They're all changing course away from Earth. What do you mean? It appears that news of our defeat is already spreading. Other empires are avoiding this solar system. Back on Earth, Dr. Thompson was monitoring galactic communications. His advanced listening hosts were picking up alien transmissions from across the galaxy. The news was spreading faster than he had expected. Admiral Blake, he reported, we're detecting emergency transmissions from over 20 different alien civilizations. They're all talking about what happened here. What are they saying? They're calling Earth a death world. They're warning each other to stay away from human space. Some are calling us the Quantum Warriors because of our weapons. Admiral Blake was pleased. Good, let them spread the word. The more they fear us, the safer Earth will be. President Carter was watching the escort mission on the main screen. The alien ship was limping toward the edge of the solar system, heavily damaged, but still functional. In a few hours, it would be gone. Do you think they'll be back? She asked. Not for a very long time, Admiral Blake replied. They know now that we're not an easy target. Word will spread to other empires. They'll think twice before coming here. As the alien ship reached the outer edge of the solar system, Captain Miller sent his final message. You are now leaving human space. Remember what you've seen here. Remember what happens to those who threaten Earth. Admiral Kriegstahl looked back at the blue planet one last time. It looked so peaceful and innocent, but he knew the truth now. Hidden beneath that beautiful surface was a civilization capable of destroying entire fleets in minutes. Engage hyperspace drive, he ordered. Take us home. The damaged alien ship disappeared into hyperspace, carrying its message of defeat back to the Zephyrian Empire. Admiral Kriegstahl would spend the rest of his life trying to warn other civilizations about the dangerous humans of Earth. On Earth, the victory celebration was quiet and professional. The world's leaders knew that this battle was just the beginning. They had announced their presence to the galaxy. Now they had to be ready for whatever came next. Admiral Blake stood in the command center, looking out at the stars. Today, humanity took its first step onto the galactic stage. We've shown the galaxy that Earth is not helpless. We're not primitive. We're not afraid. President Carter nodded. And now they know that if they come to our world looking for conquest, they'll find something much more dangerous than they expected. In the hidden facilities around the solar system, human crews were already preparing for the next threat.